In just 20 minutes of screen time, the show Andor introduces Kino Loy, a character who quickly becomes one of the most compelling and complex figures in the Star Wars universe, proving that sometimes it only takes a brief set of moments to create a character that resonates deeply with fans and leaves a lasting impact on not just this show's story, but also the entire Star Wars saga, at least when it comes to the original trilogy timeline. Some of you may think I'm exaggerating when I say this, but there is no exaggeration here, but only what I truly believe. I've now watched Andor 6 times, and on my most recent watch that I just completed, it really struck me that this character is so much more than what many fans see in him. A character that deserves the love, not just because he's played by one of the best actors working today in Andy Serkis, but also because of the fact that his character arc is so expertly written that it should be studied in film courses for the rest of time. To everyone watching this video, what is your favorite moment from this character when he was on screen? I have a feeling I know what most of you will say, but I want to hear it from you, so let me know in the comments. A lot, if not most of the respect that I have for a character like this comes from the fact that it is extremely well played by an actor such as Andy Serkis. No questions asked, but he is one of my top 3 favorite working actors right now. He is widely regarded as one of the best due to his versatility as an actor with how he can play any kind of role. Whether that be his groundbreaking motion capture performances with a character like Caesar in the Planet of the Apes movies, and his ability to bring something deeper to both human and non-human characters alike. It doesn't matter what kind of character he's playing or voicing, he's always bringing his A game. Depending on how many movies you've seen with him featured, I'm sure a lot of you will say that many of his other performances are far better in comparison to something like his portrayal of Kino Loy. In certain instances, I might actually agree with you, but I think there is something much deeper to the actual character that he plays that is what allows for his performance to grow even stronger with every new rewatch that I do with the show. It's not just the fact that it showcases his remarkable range as an actor. Everyone already knows that he can do anything, but with just how little screen time he is given, it is truly a work of art that an actor can take that much and do so much more with it than what people would have expected him to do. Unlike some of his previous roles, Serkis brings an intense, understated gravitas to Kino, capturing both his initial stoicism and the eventual emotional unraveling as he faces the hopelessness of his situation. When he and so many of the other prisoners find out about what's really going on in Narkina 5, you start to see the human side of him come out even more, whereas before you'd think that he was just another cog in the machine that would do the Empire's bidding without any question. Simply put, I don't believe this character works as well if Andy Serkis isn't playing him. That just goes to show how fucking good Serkis is as an actor. I stated already that he can pretty much do anything he sets his mind to, and yet one of those abilities that he has is taking a character who has 20 or so minutes of screen time and turning it into an S-tier level character that you will remember for a long time. The prison arc as a whole in the show is simply one of the best television arcs in not just Star Wars, but television history in general. An arc that's the catalyst to what happens later on for a character like Andor, where he realizes what his true path is in life. But it's also an arc that gives credence to the idea that the world will know of just how truly bad the Empire is. Nothing of what happens in this arc as it leads up to the prison escape on Narkina 5 is possible unless we have the other major arc it features, which is our man Kino Loy, the man who controls his section of the prison in order to keep all the prisoners on schedule and on task, a position of power that comes with a lot of pressure, and given the fact that, as the show explains, he was on his last legs of his prison sentence, he is trying his best to make sure that everyone falls in line so that he can leave on good terms. The great thing about the prison arc is that for a character like him, the writing is able to evoke empathy for someone who is often trying to maintain control amidst overwhelming adversity. His leadership and emotional growth over the 3 episodes add complexity to Kino, culminating in a heart-wrenching final scene that is both powerful and tragic. In a show filled with strong acting performances, Serkis' work as Kino stands out as a masterclass in delivering a character that feels both authentic unique and unforgettable. At first, you wouldn't think that the first time you meet him, you are not supposed to like him because he's probably going to be that guy that will stop Andor from accomplishing his mission of escaping the prison. But Andor, through each episode, is able to convince him slowly that things are not the way they seem. Character arcs where a character is initially conditioned or shaped by something, but later unravels or breaks free from it, are compelling because they tap into human struggle. It doesn't matter if it's someone like Kino, who runs the same prison sequence every single day, or an employee of a company who is dragged down and bored by their cubicle job every day, or even a little kid who goes to school every day and dreads that life because all he wants to do is have fun. For Kino Loy, you never get an idea of what his ambitions are and what he'll do when he gets out of prison, nor do you ever find out what it was originally that got him in prison in the first place. All you get from looking at his character is that you see a man who is so conditioned by the prison system that all he knows best is to just play the game and survive as long as he can until he gets out. You see it so evidently when he and Andor have that conversation in their cells about what it means to think about escaping. Kino tells him off and to remove any and all of those thoughts from his brain. Again, it's that idea of being conditioned to the system that Kino is just stuck in a loop that he doesn't want to get out of, but at the same time, I'm sure that he would want to if he really understood what was going on, which is how we get to the point where the prison arc of this show unravels itself all the way up to that last episode where they do plan the escape. This prison arc of the show simply does not work unless Kino Loy is there to help or be the spark that everyone needs to fully band together and get the hell out. I do personally think that this arc would have been much lesser had it only been Andor being the one who conjures up the escape. He needed Kino Loy because he knew Kino was the only one there who could get his men in line. They trusted him enough that whatever he does or says goes. Tony Gilroy and the writers of this show expertly craft this story arc not around the prison story itself, but around the characters inside of it. We've all seen the prison escape arc a million times before in movies and television shows, but for the most part, they don't work unless you care about the people who are actually escaping in the first place. It's just a testament to show how great each and every one of the separate arcs of this show are established. The prison arc also doesn't have any subplots to distract itself from. It's a very linear plot line for the arc of these 3 episodes, and I can't stress enough that linear storytelling is always and forever will be the best kind of writing. The minute you start distracting yourself with other things going on, you start to lose the focus. That's not to say that I think that if, say for example, we went on a subplot about exploring the life of all these prisoners that we come to know, that it would derail the 3-episode arc, but it certainly would not have helped in order to help keep us on track. The filmmakers knew they only had 3 episodes to get this arc done, and so they were able to stay on target. Pun intended, and they made sure that they saw through to the finish line of what the purpose was in the first place, which was to see Andor and all these people escape from the unjust prison systems of the Empire. And speaking of that escape, let's actually talk about it, because I think most people will agree that episode 10, One Way Out, is a pure masterclass in television. It's without a doubt one of the best episodes of television I think ever produced, and surprise, guess who is one of the biggest reasons for why it's one of the best? Our boy, Kino Loy. After the previous episode ended with him realizing what's truly going on, it's one of the most satisfying and entertaining things in the world to then go and see him in the next episode unravel and start to break. He had already been getting pushed there beforehand, but the end of that last episode was the final straw. He just needed one more thing to be convinced enough that everything was going to go wrong no matter what. When he and Andor start formulating what to do, and he comes back into the prison cell area with everyone else, it is the kind of stuff that gets your blood boiling and it makes you want to run through a wall. Andor telling everyone about what happened probably wasn't going to get by that well, but when Kino says it, everyone listens, and it's so satisfying when he first belts out the truth.
I don't believe it. He's only a doctor. They would never tell him.
No one is getting out!
In that very moment, the hairs on your body do nothing but stand up and you sit up in your seat, ready to hear this man speak and give his men the talk like a true leader. The musical score by Nicholas Britell, by the way, is an underrated masterpiece that no one talks about enough from the show, and it only amplifies these scenes. The speeches in general of this show are top tier, but there is something about the way that Kino does it that makes it so pure. After the escape has commenced and Andor and Kino have taken the control room, he is given the task of telling the entire prison about what's going on. He doesn't know if he's up to the task, but Andor gives him one final push that he needs, and what follows is one of the greatest speeches ever put to film. Oftentimes, speeches in film and television are used to help create a sense of inspiration, and every word and syllable that comes out of Kino's mouth feels like it has purpose to it. He is elevating the conflict that these characters find themselves in to a degree that only motivates them and nothing else. They all know just how bad the conditions of these prisons are, and they know that even if the Empire is not going to let them leave, then there is strictly nothing else they can do but to push back and give them their all. Kino no longer is just trying to manage the situation, but inspire his fellow inmates to act, to rebel, and to risk everything for freedom. The prisoners are not powerless. They are not just numbers in a system. They are more than that, and only Kino can tell them otherwise. And of course, none of this can actually feel like it has any weight to it unless Andy Serkis himself is really putting in the effort to show that there is actual meaning behind his speech, by actually acting out the emotions live on screen for us to see, by having the camera zoom in on his face as he breaks down how he truly feels. Don't get me wrong, it's obviously a very expertly written and scripted speech, but none of it is truly coming out unless it is made grand by the factors that I just mentioned. All this together only makes that ending where we see him last all the more heartbreaking. When he yells to Andor and Melchi that he can't swim, you realize right then and there that this is probably it for him, a man who did so much for his men in the prison, and yet he is the one out of all of them that is unable to escape. It makes you feel all the more for his character, but it also makes you realize just how much more powerful everything that came before actually was. Kino was one of the sparks of the big rebellion against the Empire, and in that last moment, he realized that all the sacrifice that he made was done in the name of what was good and just. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is my commentary analysis of why Kino Loy is one of the best Star Wars characters ever. I still cannot believe that only like 20 or so minutes of screen time is what gave us this. One of the biggest reasons why I made this video now is because obviously we are on the verge of the second and final season of Andor coming out in a few months, and while I don't think that this character is going to return given how open-ended that ending was, I think that his presence in season 1 only makes it a bigger deal for why I'm making this video now. It gives the fans of the show a reason to be even more excited for the final season like I am. But what do you all think of my commentary on the character? Leave your comments down below and let's have a nice and respectful conversation about it. I can't ask enough that you be respectful, as I do read all my comments to the best of my ability. Thank you all for stopping by my channel. If you want to see more moving forward from me with regards to film and television and you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe if you are new here, and please turn on that notification bell. I'm trying to build a community on here, and your support would be appreciated. That's a wrap, folks. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day, and I will see you all soon for the next video.